Welcome to Trailblazers. My name is Salima Ibrahim. It is with great pleasure and enthusiasm that I get to introduce our distinguished guest for tonight's show. 48 years ago, then Ugandan President Idi Amin ordered the expulsion of the country's Asian population. Entire families left behind their businesses, their house keys, and their livelihood. Today's guest was born in Kampala, Uganda. She completed a Bachelor of Science with honors in clinical biochemistry at the University of Manchester before making Canada her home. Her life has been filled with accomplishments that demonstrate perseverance, compassion, and strong character. Motivated by change, she has poured her heart into mentoring youth on the power of education as a catalyst to creating a better future for everyone. A pillar of the community in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, her passion for leadership is inspired by serving her community at large. I had the chance to sit down with the 19th Lieutenant Governor of Alberta, the Honourable Salma Lakhani. I hope you enjoy our conversation as much as I did. Your Honour, thank you so much for having us here today in the beautiful official residence of the Lieutenant Governor. It's a real honour and pleasure to be here. What is the role of the Lieutenant Governor?
Well, the role of the Lieutenant Governor, first of all, I'm a representative of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and the role is divided into two parts. There's the official constitutional part, which means that as a Lieutenant Governor, I have to make sure that there's always a Premier so that there's always a government to govern the province. That's one of the first things. My other job is to summon, dissolve, prorogue the Legislative Assembly, to open the session, to deliver the speech from the government's speech from the throne. The other role is to give royal assent in the name of Her Majesty the Queen to bills that have been passed by the Legislative Assembly, but for them to become law, I have to give royal assent as the Lieutenant Governor. And the last constitutional duty is to receive members of the royal family if they come to Alberta, or to receive other foreign guests who are here on official business.
Wow.
And then the other part is ceremonial, which is the fun part. I call it the fun part. That's where you get to preside over award ceremonies like the Alberta Order of Excellence, the Duke of Edinburgh Awards, the Royal Life Saving Society of Canada Awards, and many, many other awards, where you actually get to recognize volunteers who are doing amazing work. And a lot of times these volunteers are doing work at the grassroots, which is where a lot of the work happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's an absolute honor for me to be at those ceremonies and to recognize people and to actually get to know them and to hear their stories.
So you mentioned the Queen. I'm sure a question that's on everybody's mind, but did Her Royal Majesty call you after your installation?
No, I don't think the Queen calls anybody who's part of the Vice-Regal family, but her representative in Canada, the Governor General, did call me. And she was very warm. It was a nice, gracious conversation, and she essentially welcomed me into the Vice-Regal family. And of course, we all look forward to meeting in person. Hopefully that day will come sooner rather than later. One of the things is that when you are appointed to this position, you are required to go to England to have an audience with Her Majesty. Now, unfortunately, because of COVID, this has not happened for me, and I believe there are two other Vice-Regals who were appointed before me. All three of us are waiting to have our audience with the Queen, and we'll see how COVID goes, but very much look forward to that day when we can go and meet Her Majesty.
And on the Qu'ran. And Mrs. Lakhani, please read the oath of allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen.
I, Salma Lakhani, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada, her heirs and successors, So help me God.
So maybe going back to the day of your installation, and I remember watching it with my two daughters and actually getting quite emotional when they called your name. And then moreover, when they actually asked you to put your hand on the Qu'ran. So could you talk to us a little bit about what that was like? I think it was such a monumental occasion for probably many people who are watching the show today.
Yes, so the day of my installation to begin with was a day of nerves. I mean, I was extremely nervous. But once everything started, things just flowed and fell into place, I hope. But when I had to take the oath and put my hand on the Quran, I had a mixture of feelings. I was very, very humbled to have been appointed to this position. I was very emotional. I thought about my late parents who could not be there with me in person, but I certainly prayed that their spirit was there with me. And I was also very, very proud to be a Canadian, you know. Canada is a country of promise and possibility, where a story like mine is becoming more and more the norm. It's becoming normal. And I know that we have a lot more work to do to make the possibility, the promise, the hope be felt by a larger number of people. But I know we're all working towards that day. So yeah, it was a very special day, of course. It'll always be etched in our, memories, my family's memories. But yeah, it was emotional as well.
Yeah, I remember having some tears in my eyes as well. I mean, it was just such a lovely moment. So soon after your installation, in the Edmonton Journal, you got interviewed and you say, Alberta had a lot of firsts. The first Lieutenant Governor of Chinese descent, the first Indigenous Lieutenant Governor in Canada, the first Muslim mayor, etc. But instead, you say, we should say she got appointed of her own merit and she happens to be Muslim. So can you talk to us a little bit about why that's an important distinction for you?
So, don't get me wrong, I am proud to be the first Muslim to hold this position, to have been appointed to this position, and I know I won't be the last. But I feel that this role requires a lot of qualities, and being Muslim, I don't think, is front and foremost. I don't think I was appointed to this position because I am Muslim. And this role requires a lot of other qualities. But you know what? We in Canada, we talk about inclusion, pluralism, diversity. So we should be beyond that by now.
Fair comment.
And that is my hope, that, and it is an evolving process. And I'm proud to be part of that evolving process where, we're getting to the day where we can say that she has been appointed and she happens to be Muslim.
So I imagine being a lieutenant governor during a global pandemic is quite different than if we weren't, in COVID.
Yes.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how you've had to adjust your role and the role of the office during this time?
Well, I have to say kudos go to my staff. They have been very, very good about making sure that I am in contact with people. Of course, we can't do the large gatherings
Sure.
that we were doing before, prior to COVID. But so far we've been having smaller ceremonies with just the recipient and one person from the family, socially distanced, masks on where we can. Because I think it is very important, just because it's COVID, we should not stop recognizing people who are doing very, very important work. Mm-hmm. And we should be recognizing them more so now than ever before. It is very important to do that. So, and then of course I'm not as busy. I was told by my staff that, my predecessor used to be invited to 5 events a day. Well, there are no big events taking place right now. So there's a lot of virtual events. In fact, I'm doing an award ceremony for Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers this afternoon, which we were going to do in person, one recipient at a time with one member of their family, but we decided to do a Zoom call instead. So like everybody else, we're going virtual, trying to keep in contact with people. And also I'm trying to reach out to mayors in different parts of Alberta, just to talk to them, chat with them, find out how they are doing, how their family is doing, how their city is doing, because municipalities are going through a really rough time.
Yeah, fair point.
So we're trying our best.
So you mentioned this whole notion about reaching out to people in community. I think the pandemic has taken a toll on people in really different ways. What do you think is one of the greatest gifts that we can give each other right now?
You know, right now, one of the gifts we can give people is show compassion, kindness, even just a phone call to someone who's living alone. It brings a smile to their face and they feel, look, people do care about me. People really, really care about me. And you know, if we want for others what we want for ourselves, imagine what a beautiful world this would be.
That is really lovely. That is very lovely, actually. Yeah, I do think this whole notion of community and connection is actually become even more pronounced during COVID.
Yes.
And it's wonderful to hear how you've been able to use your position to actually reach out to people.
Well, there's a lot more work that needs to be done.
Agreed.
But we are trying our best, you know, under the circumstances. But the important thing is to look out for our neighbors, our vulnerable populations, people who need help. And you know, a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I've heard you talk about a lot is the power of education. And we know that Maulana Haji Imam talks a lot about this to his Jamaat as well. How would you like to use your influence as the Lieutenant Governor of Alberta to empower others and to further your desire for people to really kind of embrace the power of education?
So first of all, I'd like to say, you know that our beloved Imam has always emphasized education to us. And I'm a product of the Aga Khan schools in Kampala, Uganda, where we went to Aga Khan Nursery School, Aga Khan Primary School, Aga Khan Secondary School. And the education we received there was first rate. And it was this education that enabled me and my husband and a lot of other Ugandans to go to the Western world, to England, to North America for our further education. And then, as you know, we were expelled while we were studying in the UK, but we finished, thanks to the British government, who waived our overseas student fees. We were able to finish our education, and with our education, we were able to come and make a life in Canada and contribute. And every opportunity I get, I remind young people, don't give up on your education, because you can lose everything. People go through horrendous experiences.
Yes.
They lose everything, but you know what's in your head, they can never take away from you. They can never take your education from you. I did a beautiful ceremony called Honoring the Spirit, which is with Indigenous students. And this was my message to them. Don't give up on your education, because education is your most important asset. Nobody can take it away from you.
When you walk with pride and share the best of your spirit with us, you help everyone understand the beauty and importance of our Indigenous culture.
So maybe pivoting a little bit, so not everybody could be a lieutenant governor, but everybody can make a community impact. What is some advice you have for people watching today on how they can be of service to their communities?
You have to first of all identify what interests you. The Ismaili community, our community, is amazing. It's such an amazing training ground for all of us.
Yeah, very true.
You know, because our community is run by volunteers by and large. And you know, the platform we have there is amazing. And our Ismaili volunteers do work very hard. So when you talk to people in the communities at large, they say, wow, is that what you do? But what I feel is that you have to find a cause. If you're looking to make a difference, you have to find causes that really, really resonate with you. And work hard at those causes. Become an ambassador for those causes. Talk about those causes. That's the only way you will make a difference.
Yeah, I really like that. I think this idea of being passionate about whatever cause you decide to put your time to makes a difference. And I think for a lot of young people, they tend to do a few things to try and figure out before they land on where they really want to put kind of all of their efforts. So
exactly, and that's right. You know, you sometimes you don't know what your passion is until you get involved.
Agreed. Yeah, but I think that's the key. Just get involved.
Yes.
Try something.
Try something, and if it doesn't work, there's so much opportunity.
So obviously this show is featuring and highlighting Ismaili excellence. Could you talk to us in your own words what excellence means to you?
Well, to me, excellence means whatever you get involved in, you do your very, very best. Mm-hmm. You know, we're all born with different abilities, different potentials. But if we use those abilities and potentials to the best of our ability, to make life better for others, to make a difference, I think that is the most important thing, and that is what excellence means to me. And you know, not everybody can get involved at the board level right away. Agreed. You may have to start with subcommittees or something. And remember, we need boards. We need people who make policies for us. But what I feel, and I've always felt, and Salima, you know, if you look at my voluntary service, it was mainly at the grassroots level. That is where a lot of the work happens.
Right. Yeah, the impact.
You know, so not everybody can sit on boards. And the other thing I'd also like to say to young people is don't let anybody ever say to you that you're not enough. Mm-hmm. Because you're a woman or because of where you've come from or your sexual orientation. Don't let anybody tell you you are not enough.
That is such a special message.
And I think we are all leaders in our own way, and we can all bring out the best in people. And I've heard this saying which goes that if you can inspire others to do more, learn more, dream more, be more, then you are a leader. And that is excellence to me.
On that note, who has been one person that has inspired you?
Well, I can't honestly say that there has been one person, you know. There are different people who inspire us at different stages in our lives.
Good point. Yeah.
As we are growing up, our parents are always our role models and they inspire us. And of course, our beloved imams have done so much and they inspire us. They open doors for us. But I'd like to turn that around, and instead of inspire, I'd like to say changed my life. And I don't mean this in any negative way, but one person who changed my life was Idi Amin because of what he did to us. Right. We were citizens of Uganda. When we went abroad to study, we had every intention of going back to Uganda to build our country. Because our Imam always says to us that you are citizens of this country, just like he tells us Canada is your home.
Right.
And you know, you should contribute to building your communities and your countries where you live. You know what, look, we're grateful in a way that we got out of Uganda with our lives. Sure. A lot of the local population were not able, they were killed. But look what we've been able to contribute, and look at me today. I have been appointed to this position in our beautiful country here in Canada. And so I can't really say there's any one person who has inspired me, but there are different people as you go along and as you're going through your journey who inspire you.
So my final question, and I think you've actually pulled upon this as you've talked about your journey from Uganda, but when is the one time that you've needed courage in your life?
Yes, so you know, when we were expelled, when we heard the announcement, we honestly didn't think it was going to happen.
Right.
And then 2-3 days later, we realized that he was serious and it was going to happen. So my father because I'm a Ugandan by birth and I held a Ugandan passport, knew that the only way I would be able to travel would be to get on the plane right away. So he put my brother and myself on the plane and we went back to England, not knowing where we were going to get money from, how we were going to survive. But we needed to be strong at the time because our parents were still in Uganda. And in fact, my parents left on the last day, which was November the 4th. And we needed to be strong. We needed to have courage. We needed to say, yes, we are going to be together as a family again. And we prayed hard and, and we kept strong, my brothers and I. And the other time that I really needed courage was recently, early this year, when we had a very young member of our family who got desperately ill. And for a while, it was touch and go. We didn't know if he would make it. And I moved. I actually moved. He is in Calgary, and I moved to Calgary. And I had to be so strong and have courage and pray. And I know that, you know, if you have courage and you have the support of loved ones and friends, close friends around you, that really, really helps. And I think with all the things we go through in our journey, we have to turn these times where when things are happening to us, we feel like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get out of this? But if we can turn that into something positive, then you've learned something from that experience.
That is heartwarming and touching, and I think a great way to end our segment today. The message of inspiration and courage is your story, and I think it's the story of so many people who are going to be watching the segment. So thank you very much. It's been a real honor, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
For sure. Thank you so much, Salima.
To Salma Lakhani of the City of Edmonton in the province of Alberta, greetings. Be advised that placing special trust and confidence in your prudence, courage, loyalty, integrity, and ability, we, by and with the advice of our Privy Council for Canada, pursuant to Sections 58 and 59 of the Constitution Act 1867, do hereby appoint you, Salma Lakhani, Lieutenant Governor of the Province of Alberta, during the pleasure of our Governor-General of Canada, effective on the day on which you make and subscribe the oaths of allegiance and office required by Section 61 of the Constitution Act 1867.
And what happened in Uganda with Idi Amin, you will know. I don't need to remind you of that. And there's a joke, which I may repeat to you, of a Canadian who goes into an Ismaili home and sees a big picture of Idi Amin on the wall. Well, what's that? Why is he there? And the answer from the Ismaili family is, every day we thank him for throwing us into Canada.